By the next morning, the palace no longer saw him the same way. The laughter that once followed him had gone quiet. Whispers replaced mockery, and eyes that once looked down on him now lingered a little longer. For the first time, they were not looking at a weak prince. They were looking at something they did not yet understand. High above the courtyard, two princes watched in silence. They had seen what happened the night before, and it unsettled them. Not because he fought, but because he survived. And deep down, they knew something dangerous had begun. Because a man who refuses to fall is harder to control. While others whispered, one man stepped forward, a warrior who had seen countless battles and knew the difference between luck and survival. Without ceremony, without praise, the blade was placed in his hands, cold, heavy, real. This was no longer training meant for children. From this moment on, every movement would matter, because a sword does not forgive hesitation. The lessons were harsh and without mercy. Each strike came faster than the last, each fall harder than before. He hit the ground again and again and again. Pain became familiar, failure became constant, but still he stood back up. He did not see a prince. He saw a weapon still unshaped, and in his eyes, Jumong had much to learn. Then the general did something unexpected. He took away the one thing Jumong still depended on, his sight. A cloth covered his eyes, and the world went dark. Now he could no longer rely on what he saw, only on what he felt. At first, there was nothing but confusion. Attacks came from everywhere, and he could not stop them. Each strike landed cleanly. Each mistake reminded him how far he still had to go. And for a moment, doubt returned. But within the chaos, something shifted. A single moment where instinct spoke louder than fear. His body moved before his mind could question it, and for the first time, he blocked the strike. Not perfectly, but enough. So he slowed down. He stopped chasing movement and began to listen for it. The sound of footsteps, the weight of air, the intent behind every strike. The world he could not see became the one he could feel, and in that silence, he found control. But peace in the palace never lasts long, because where power exists, so does challenge. The princes stepped forward, not to learn, but to test him. And this time, it would not be training. The clash began without warning. Steel met steel, and the air grew heavy. The first prince attacked with confidence, certain of the outcome. After all, he had never lost to Jumong before. But something was different now. Jumong no longer reacted, he anticipated. Before the strike could land, he was already gone. And for the first time, he moved like someone who understood the fight. The prince stepped back, surprised, not by the strength, but by the change. Because the man in front of him was no longer predictable. And that uncertainty was dangerous. Before pride could push the fight too far, the general stepped in. With a single command, everything stopped. But the silence that followed spoke louder than any victory, because everyone had seen it. Jumong had changed. From a distance, the king had been watching everything, not as a ruler judging a fight, but as a man witnessing something long awaited, a quiet truth forming before his eyes, the beginning of what was meant to be. That night, when the palace finally rested, Jumong returned to the courtyard alone. No audience, No pressure, no expectations, just him and the path ahead. This time, he was not fighting to prove anything. He was training to understand who he was becoming. Beyond the light, hidden within the shadows, others watched in silence. Warriors who had waited, who had searched, and who now saw what they had hoped for. The bloodline had not faded. But power does not rise unnoticed, and in the darkness, another force was already moving, a blade sharpened quietly, waiting for the right moment. Because the stronger he became, the more dangerous his existence would be. The boy who once struggled to stand was learning how to fight, and soon the world would no longer ignore him.